He moved through rooms like a roomer, known but not wanted, given everything and expected to be grateful. Lucas Everett's name opened doors. Still, by 16 he failed math, flunked science, and couldn't pass the literature exam that decided his school's fate. His father, a man of ledgers and tailored suits, had no patience for failure. "You don't fail," his father said once, "you miscalculate." Lucas nodded, because that's what you did in a house where apologies were scheduled. Henry Parker had been on the estate longer than anyone. He was not in the family photos. He walked through rooms like a steady tide, carrying mops and old novels, hands marked by honest labor. He kept the boiler running and the banisters polished. Lucas noticed him one rainy afternoon in the old library, where the words on the page blurred from too much studying and caffeine. Henry sat across from him, put down his mop, and looked at the open book. "Hard night?" he asked. Lucas shrugged. "I can't get the tests right." Henry tapped a line. "We are such stuff as dreams are made on." "Why stuff and not beings?" he asked. Lucas, used to tutors who wanted rote answers, found the question oddly freeing. Henry didn't give memorized solutions. He taught methods. Break a paragraph into parts, ask plain questions, map what a passage demands. His lessons were simple: sweep the corners, then the hidden dust. But they changed Lucas's way of thinking. They met at dawn in the boiler room during quiet afternoons. Henry loved detective novels and philosophy. He taught Lucas to underline verbs, circle limitations, sketch boundaries. He taught him to treat math like a problem to be understood, not a formula to be recited. He made the act of learning feel like work with a rhythm. Prioritize, move forward, don't get stuck. Henry's method was practical and deceptively kind. One afternoon, he sat with Lucas at the kitchen table and wrote a math problem on a scrap of cardboard. "Don't look for the formula," he said. "Pretend the question is a stranger. Ask who it is, what it wants, and what it fears. Then help it say what it needs." Lucas followed the steps. Identify what the problem actually asked, rewrite it in his own words, sketch a diagram, label knowns and unknowns. When the clutter of notation fell away, the solution came into view like a window opening. On another day, Henry sat with him over a history essay. "People are complicated," he said. "Tell the story twice, once in their shoes, once in yours. Then explain why one led to the other." Lucas learned to build paragraphs like a man bracing a wall. Foundation first, then stones laid with care. He learned to write conclusions that answered rather than repeated. The failures didn't vanish immediately. There was a practice exam where Lucas, overconfident, rushed and made careless mistakes. He watched his father read the grade like a business memo and felt the cold tighten in his chest. A tutor offered harsher drills. Henry suggested mock exams at home with time breaks. "If you run an hour without rest," Henry said, "your head gets tired. Break the work into rhythms." The change wasn't cinematic, it was small and stubborn, the kind that adds up. There were mornings when they practiced under dim lamps, evenings when Lucas pored over sentences until his eyes hurt. Henry taught him to ask 3 plain questions of any passage. Who is speaking? What does the passage ask? And why does it matter here? For math, it was identify, translate, solve. For essays, it was context, claim, evidence. Those rituals turned panic into process. The night before the literature exam, Lucas woke at 3, choking on panic. He found Henry in the library, mop resting like a guard. Lucas began to cry. He confessed his fear of disappointing his father and the shame of failing despite everything he had. Henry poured tea and said, "I've seen kids born into fortunes think fences will make them grow. Sometimes they do. Most times they don't. Helping a kid see himself? That's cleaning a different kind of mess." "No cheat codes," Henry said. "Know the question before you read the answers. Underline the verbs, circle the limits, map it. You force the question to reveal what it wants." Exam day arrived. Lucas sat with the booklet and followed Henry's rules. He underlined, diagrammed, identified, interpreted, concluded. He didn't panic. The result wasn't instantaneous heroism, but scores improved. More importantly, Lucas had a newfound sense of agency. He sat at dinner and watched his father's expression shift from impatience to a look that approximated grudging respect. It was not affection. It was recognition of competence. Lucas did not seek to bask in it. He had learned better gratitude, to keep working. College presented new puzzles. Lucas majored in physics because the equations felt like riddles with elegant answers, and he minored in literature so the questions stayed human. He lived among roommates who worked shifts at diners and others whose families underwrote every expense. That mixture humbled him. It taught him how different strains of pressure shape attention. He tutored for money at first because explaining something to someone else helped him understand it better. Over time, tutoring became a vocation, a quiet way to repay what he'd been given. When he began working with a local nonprofit, he formalized Henry's approach into an after-school curriculum. 3 plain questions to start every lesson, mapping the limits of a problem, and a steady, timed rhythm for working through difficult sections. Teachers reported students less anxious and more willing to try. A father from the program wrote to Lucas thanking him because his daughter had stopped saying she was not smart. That letter sat in Lucas's pocket like a quiet medal. Years later, Henry's health wavered. Lucas visited the estate and found the man smaller, hands trembling over a cup of tea, still sharp-eyed about words. Henry refused gifts but accepted a promise. Lucas would start a small scholarship in his name for kids who needed summer programs and tutors. When Henry passed, the memorial was modest. Lucas read a passage about labor and dignity, then carried Henry's old mop to a corner of the library like a talisman. He kept Henry's leather notebook and filled it with lists and reminders. Underline verbs, circle limits, sketch boundaries. Lucas didn't build a monument. He funded tutors and summer programs. And he walked into classrooms late when a child needed extra time. He wrote op-eds about education and insisted foundations fund patient tutors rather than flashy tech. His father, ever pragmatic, grunted at the attention but donated quietly. It was not a tidy reconciliation. It was small shifts that made living possible. One summer, a girl from the scholarship program, Nia, arrived terrified of algebra. Lucas sat with her for weeks, tracing questions with a dry erase marker, asking the 3 plain questions, and giving her rhythms of work. She went from failing grades to a proud A on the final exam, and later sent Lucas a photo from her graduation. Moments like that were the currency Lucas collected. The secret Henry taught him remained simple and stubborn: attention, method, and the willingness to tidy confusion until clarity appears. Lucas used his resources to amplify that work and taught others to do the same. He never forgot Henry's tap on a sentence. He paid it forward, quietly and relentlessly, for the rest of his life, a small kindness reshaping futures.